Hi, welcome back to the Spirit's Path. This is Dee, and today's tarot card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck is the Four of Bows in Celebration. And when I was thinking about this card today, I'm going to just, tell the story here because, you've transitioned from the other side. The fox is with you walking through. You've seen all this generosity from the Nine of Cups, and then the Guardian jumped up in front of you, right? And you were facing your fears as you're going through the cave, and the hooded man, came into the cave with his light, and he's leading you out to the rest of the cave, right? You found the other side, and on the other side of that cave, you see this party going on, this celebration, and you're like thinking, wow, what the heck is going on? And the hooded man looks at you and says, you know what? It's good to celebrate life. It's good to celebrate, small wins on your journey, even big wins on your journey, right? Because, the hooded man is telling you this. What this does is it shows you, to celebrate, health milestones. It shows you to celebrate the wealth, right? And there's a lot of wealth in this card with all the harvests sitting at their feet. Okay, and we're seeing some of that here in the Northern Hemisphere, with, harvest moons and, everybody's gathering their wheat and gathering the corn. And, there's a lot of wealth within that because they're storing it up for the winter so they can sell it during the winter, so they can have money, and there's a lot of security in that as well. So, during this harvest time, even though the weather's getting, colder and, the nights are getting longer, there's a lot of security within that. There's a lot of wealth within that. There's a lot of health within that because, you can celebrate all of those aspects in knowing that as winter comes, I'm going to have enough food, which is going to, make you feel secure. I'm going to have that wealth because then I can sell that wealth, that food, to help me become more secure. And, I can eat some of it so I can stay healthy during that wintertime. It's almost kind of like, the thought that just came to mind was, having that squirrel syndrome where you're gathering all the black walnuts up and putting them, in places around the yard to where, hey, if I need something to eat, I know where to go, right? So, as you relax in that bounty of good fortune where you're not so stressed out, over, the security and everything like that, you celebrate that amongst friends. All the farmers are getting together and they're celebrating because they've had good harvests. Here, you've got the maidens, they're all celebrating. Why? Because they've had a good harvest. Okay, and as you've walked out of this tunnel of facing your fears, they look at you and they say, hey, come join the party. And you're like, yeah, you know what? It's time to celebrate. The journey that I've been on is one to be celebrated. It's not one to be, oh, woe is me. When you have that passion, when you have that fire energy, that creativity of, whatever it is your path is on, and lately it's been on an intellectual path, I think, and now maybe it's turning toward that fire path, that creativity and passion path. When you have that opportunity to celebrate, do so. Do so with joy. Do so with love. Do so with, with that passion. And celebrate all the creativity, that you've got going on. From that Nine of Vessels generosity where you feel like, oh my gosh, I got all this energy. I've got, all these goals and dreams that, that I've been going after, and now they're starting to come true, right? And you don't have to worry about that guardian stopping you. Okay, you've got the light of hope from the hooded man lighting your way, and as you continue to move down that path, now you've got that feeling of things are coming together, right? That project, that work, where it was a struggle before, now you're starting to see some fruits of that project. Now you're starting to see the work that you're putting into it, all right? And you're saying, oh, okay, this is what it's all about. Right? And pretty soon that project may come to an end. All right? And that's when you can celebrate the hard work on, hey, the boss comes to you and say, hey, that dedication and hard work that you put into this, it's great. All right. And now you can kick back and just rejoice in that moment of, ecstasy, let's say, and just say, enjoy the pizza party, that the boss is going to throw it out. And at least when I was working, people would do that. Hey, let's celebrate the win on this project. And it's the same thing within relationships. Celebrate the milestones that are out there, the anniversaries, the birthdays, right? Just the small wins. Hey, this was the first day we met, type anniversary. Those types of things, because when you could celebrate those and share those with loved ones, that creates that passion. That creates that love and harmony and balance that you're looking for within that relationship with your significant other. So, the other piece of that is when you celebrate it with others, it gives meaning. It gives meaning to them, for that common goal and becoming, fulfilled. And like I said, it achieves that balance. It achieves that harmony, within your work unit or, even within the relationship unit. And as you celebrate and as you strengthen those bonds with those at work or at home, there's a healing aspect of that. The one healing aspect for yourself is, you're involved with that significant other, okay? You're involved in that project at work. You're not left out of stuff, okay? And if you celebrate it, through that, and you heal from that, okay, that just lifts up your spirits. That just lifts up your makes you closer to your higher self, because you're involved with that. You're touching base with somebody else, right? The other piece of that is, once you have that sense of belonging in a work situation or in a family situation, that sense of belonging allows you to feel refreshed, or allows you to feel renewed, okay? And understanding that, oh, so-and-so didn't forget my birthday. Oh, so-and-so didn't forget the anniversary. Wow, they remembered that. And it just gives fond memories. It just gives fond feelings. And again, it just strengthens that bond that you have with a significant other, or, in a work context, of saying, you know what? They're part of the group. They're not an outsider, right? And, when we allow that energy of celebration to exist within, any dynamic, social dynamic, and you're going to see a lot of it, with Halloween coming up, and then you got Thanksgiving, and then you got Christmas, right? The next couple, 2 or 3 months are months where people are going to come together and celebrate. Maybe on, different terms, but, to get together and celebrate in a social atmosphere, helps heal the spirit in that attitude of belonging, right? And like I said, it revitalizes and renews you and just rekindles your desires to burn that flame, to have that passion, to be with other people, to celebrate the wins and losses. If if people are coming together to celebrate, wins and losses with you, you should, I don't want to say feel obligated, but you should do the same. You should, hey, let's celebrate that win and loss of, somebody passing a course. We have graduation days now. Kindergartner, they're having graduation days. Whereas before, you just thought that was high school and college. No, everybody's celebrating that now. So, hey, you've moved on to the next level of life. You've moved on to that next level in your relationship. You moved on to that next project at work because of the dedication and commitment that you have. So, when things come to a close, celebrate. And, and when you celebrate and you share it, sharing is caring. And share your creativity, share your passion, share your love, share your joy. And just enjoy the celebration to the point where, you can dance like the maidens in this card. So that's today's card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck, the 4 bows in celebration. Hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, share it with others, give me a thumbs up. And this is D for Spirit's Path. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. God bless. Stay safe, everybody.